of us have been to New York City and seen the amazing storefront windows and, you know, these elaborate worlds that are set up. As kids and even as adults, we imagine what it would be like to go in and become part of that world. And this project was the opportunity to play that out. For 28 years, PNC Bank has done something called the Christmas Price Index. And what they do is take the 12 gifts from the song, The 12 Days of Christmas, add up the current cost of each of those gifts to calculate the total cost.
Imparting sort of economic information in really a compelling way to reach kids.
What we came up with was the idea of the PNC Index Express, which is a train world that lives inside a department store window and lets the user travel throughout the window, visiting different towns, collecting all the gifts. Once we had this idea, we were faced with a difficult decision, and that was to create this world in CGI and animate it, which could be beautiful, but the harder and we thought much more interesting way to do this is to build and shoot all of the elements practically and then bring them together in an interactive environment that people could play with.
You don't see something typically that's so handmade, so photo-based, then created as an interactive working website.
We started out with a sort of ideas, images, drawings. Some of the characters were modified from parts of action figures. Other characters were sculpted from scratch.
The basic structure for something like this is that we created a master set. So the master set is this expansive train set that takes you through different zones, different towns, different stops. But it's going through a very kind of whimsical designed, unique set. Throughout that process, you kind of go to different stops, at which point you are taken to a larger scale interactive set, at which point you then get to go into a gameplay mode. It's a bit of a choose your own story, but done in stop motion for the web.
This is a traditional puppet animation. So basically what you do is kind of like the old school King Kong. It was a model with an armature inside, and you would move it, take a picture, move it again, take another picture, and you keep doing that in succession. And when you play it back, you know, it creates an illusion of life.
So it's this really cool sort of mix of old craftsman techniques and processes that have been around, you know, for a long time, the stop motion, the live action, miniatures, and all that stuff, and then sort of this technical layer of the interactive using Flash and building an experience where, you know, a user using their computer can interact with all these toys and gifts.
Building a giant train set, first of all, with a Yeti head mountain was pretty awesome. People were inspired to work on it just by the content and making the ultimate train set. It's kind of a fantasy that takes you back to some of the things you wanted to do as a kid.
I just think it's bringing a contemporary sort of feel to a very, very classic story. And I think this is a great way to take something that's very traditional and modernize it in a really fun way.
We just think it's a sort of fantastic journey that will be fun for kids of any age, really.